Hi, everybody. This is day 1440, 1440, and we're almost at July 4th, 1776. Um, so let me make sure that everything is working so I can begin. Okay, here we are. Thank you so much, everybody. Um, so this is 1,440 days since Richard was murdered there on Fort Bliss, and we don't have his body. And we know the evidence is mounting every day. Um, Hard evidence, circumstantial evidence, um, everyday irregularities, um, to prove, to absolutely confirm that they have Richard's remains, that the FBI and the military have Richard's remains, and that they are keeping that from us. And the evidence is mounting um, over and over again that they ordered silence. They ordered silence, just like the agent for the FBI at the uh, Dollar General to the cashier. He ordered her silence. Thank God she wasn't. Thank God she. Hey, I'm not in the military. I'm not in the FBI. I don't have to remain silent. I'm not a criminal. I am a citizen. I am working hard, and I have the freedom of speech, and I can call. I don't know if this is what she said, but she gave us a call. She gave us a call, and we went there to the Dollar General less than an hour after he had come in, and you have it all on video there. We have it on video. Her absolute courage, and we will be forever grateful for her courage, and exposing that the FBI found Richard's remains, partial remains, in Mexico. And why do we say partial? Because, look, we have individuals stepping up, exposing that because see that, okay, let's put things in context here, but let's put things in the timeline here. So the Dollar General incident where he walks in and orders her to take down the flyers, and she's so sweet, right? And she's asking, well, is he okay? And he proceeds to tell her that the FBI has found his remains in Mexico. And then he orders her to stay silent. Okay. She doesn't stay silent. She you know, is humane and knows that the family needs to know about our son. And so she contacts us. She speaks freely with us. She allows us to videotape her. They provide the CCTV footage. We provide this all to the FBI, to the CID, right? We provide it all. And that happened on October 26, 2020. We were begging. You have to understand that the Army never contacted us, never notified us that our son had been murdered, was missing. They didn't notify us. And so we had been begging for them to put Richard back on the roll, to reevaluate what's going on, because no way would he just leave. The narratives had so much holes in it. Um, and they've kept up with, there was the original response team was up to no good. A portion of them, um, I don't want to say all, a big part of them were up to no good, and they are continuing to be up to no good. That is the the E7 public relations guy, that sergeant that is over there at Disneyland, right? He was part of the original response team with Payne, who now is Allie Payne, is now Allie Scott. And this name Scott is not good, because that's related to uh, Ernest Christopher Grant. I don't know if she's related to him, but the name Scott is very clear in there. And this Brown Bell, and it seems like these people seem to have connections, and of course they have connections and criminal connections. And so Allie Payne is now Allie Scott. What, I don't know why they changed their names. I don't know, maybe she got married. But she's over there at Disney. She's a lieutenant colonel. Or a colonel, he has to answer to her. I don't know if she got promoted. They seem to be, like Bernabe and Donna Martin. They seem to be promoted for their criminal activity. And it is criminal activity. And the same thing with Amanda Vickers, from the very beginning. And, so here you are, October 26, 2020, this happens. And, they're all like on the front lines now, trying to control the narratives. They're deployed. They're deployed to put out misinformation about Richard, to smear Richard, to put misinformation towards us, so that we will look in different areas. They gave us misinformation about the canine. And now we've had an individual come forward and make it known to us that the canine, the Borstar canine, had a positive hit, that the narrative that we were given during the meeting, we had a meeting in the headquarters building, and it was a very, very nervous. This is why, one of the reasons why this makes sense is because they were so nervous during this time. A lot of shaky, high-ranking soldiers. And now we understand why, because the canine had a positive hit, right? So that happened, that meeting was on November 20th. So, 3 weeks later, from it being declared by the agent of the FBI that Richard's remains were found in Mexico. Now they have a positive hit. They're on Fort Bliss, right? And we're being told on the 20th of November, which is the same time period, the same time where Richard's status is changed. Where, we felt like we had a victory from our petitions and everything, but that's not what it was. And we were told over and over again that no, just a petition is not going to change them. They have to have hard evidence. They have to have hard evidence to move them, to drive them, to do, in fear, I guess. I don't know. They were shaky. They were very shaky. And so, we're very appreciative now to understand why Richard's status was changed to the Vanessa Guillen First Absent Soldier. The official was the CONUS Dust 1, um, the first CONUS Dust 1 missing soldier under the new Vanessa Guillen absent soldier flow chart, right? So, uh, and, you know, I believe that, there's a possibility and a question because they're keeping so many things silent, ordering silence on so many things, like this canine having a positive hit, and just following that. Okay, let's follow that up with what happened next. So you have um, October, the end of October, you have November, and then December, you have Bernabe, Major General, now Lieutenant General Bernabe, looking on Fort Bliss, at the mock Afghanistan training village for Richard's remains. So is he, using Borstar dogs during that time too? Because, did he lie again? I mean, the man just is a failed general, lying to us about our son's murder, our son's brutal murder, the retaliation, in Richard's case. It wasn't enough that they murdered him. They had to, I mean, it's just, they have to cover it up, you know? Um, so, and I'm a little, you know, miss amount, a huge boost in institutional support, right? And anytime this happens, for some reason, you get this real heavy weight of sadness, um, because look how much work, how long it has taken to get this boost of institutional support, um, and this hope of, um, let's get his remains. Let's hold these people that participated in this very brutal retaliation and murder. Um, let's hold them accountable, So, and I don't think anyone can be happy about any of that. The law has to be followed. And if it was so easy to follow the law, then it would be followed all the time. But we have continuous law breaking, ignoring the law, right? You have Bill Hicks. He's losing because he's a usurper. How can he win anything right now? Everything that he touches is botched. And it's in the news. These terrible cases where he's either plea dealing or he is absolutely losing them because he's a usurper. His record is not that clever either. So the people of El Paso are getting, shafted, I think, with all their tax money that they're paying. They depend on the law to be followed. And if it was easy, it wouldn't be broken so much, right? And so it's not easy. I know it's not easy, and it's not easy in Richard's case because the death penalty, that shot, that ends people's lives, is on the table in this case because the law requires it for this kind of vile and vulgar, brutal crime. the law requires that the lethal injection is on the table, and it is required, really, for the penalty for this crime. And I don't think any of us can be happy about that. But the law has to be followed. And there's a reason why the law requires that. Because the criminals get bolder and bolder and more vile and more vulgar if we don't restrain the evil. And they absolutely, this group that is part of the original response team for Richard, absolutely they target children. Absolutely they have a history of sexual assault with children, incest, and child pornography, which is child torture. Absolutely, their crimes get worse and worse and worse. And so the law has to be followed. And it's, it's a lot of emotions. It's a relief. I think it's a relief that we're getting this kind of institutional support now. It's emotional, and it's a relief. And to get these individuals to come forward and tell us about the canine having this positive hit right when, that's November 20th, 2020, when Richard's status was changed. Everything makes sense now, because that's what drove them to change the status. It wasn't a live stream, me saying, oh, you need to change my son's status. They had to have hard evidence. And so I think that is very interesting. And for the corroborating information, I mean, that's corroborating right there, is the change of status. And then you have, again, the phone call, not from Major General Bernabe, right, to say, Mr. Halliday, Miss Halliday, just want to let you know that we received a positive hit. We have information that we need to search for this area. We don't know what we're going to find, but we need to search this area. It's the Afghanistan mock village. Or, he didn't even have to tell us, but he goes, we're going to be searching on Fort Bliss. I know it's Christmas time. We want to let you know that we're doing everything to find Richard, to find his remains, to hold those that murdered Richard accountable. But he didn't do that, y'all. He did not do that. He kept silence. This was a cover-up. This was a cover-up, and Major General Bernabe was in on it. And that phone call that we got from a concerned individual to say, hey, look, did you realize that it's Christmas time and Bernabe is looking for Richard, but meaning Richard's remains, at the mock Afghanistan village there on Fort Bliss. And, our heart just shattered, because we knew that he was not looking for an alive Richard, that Richard would be alive hiding in the mock village, that he was looking for the remains of Richard. And it's heartbreaking. Yeah, I'm going to answer some questions now. Anicia, thank you so much for your prayers and your love. Thank you, Danielle, so much for your prayers. Is that the date of Hondo Pass findings in November? I think Hondo Pass was March, wasn't it? In March. I'm going to look that up. Matter of fact, I'll write it down. Because you're right. The Hondo Pass findings are really, really interesting. Um, or correlation with the dates of the finding of Richard's remains, mentioning it being missing soldiers' remains were recovered. The news article that was archived, is there a gag order for the news? Um, these are all very good questions, Danielle. Um, and, we need these questions because this information that's coming forth, it's almost 4 years, right? And it still rattles us. And to have to read through all of these reports, go through them with a fine tooth comb and all of that, and then to have the part of this original response team illegally obtain these records. And I'm going to tell you, we have hard evidence that they were illegally obtained. There's either an abuse of power or an impersonation to get these records. And to even, to post them is criminal. It's a crime. And yeah, so that's why the group was taken down. This latest one was taken down so quickly because we're getting a force multiplier of institutional support right now. I don't think that Disney was too happy that an active duty soldier at Disney was engaged in criminal behavior. Okay? And he's part of the original response team and part of, trying to learn public relations. And he's engaged in misinformation. I don't think that Disney liked that too much. So, and, of course, the military responds to companies like Disney. Um, yeah, especially since Disney is NASA, right? So, and NASA and the military have um, a huge relationship. Prove a valid point of Richard's change of status multiple times, also being promoted while missing and deceased. The Christmas search was a psychops from those individuals, in my opinion. Yeah, that's a very good point. Maybe it was, especially when they said Richard didn't like Christmas, although he had a tree. Yeah, yeah, and a beautiful tree at that. He even had a hand painted ornament. I wonder who made that. So, and I've asked that question every Christmas, every Advent time. Who made this art, this ornament, right? That was in Richard's things because it didn't come from our family. It came from somebody there. So, yeah, but the Hondo Pass is something we really need to look into. The other point, so we have the canine, but the other point is um, information about First Sergeant Michael Ruggiero, um, and him lying to the investigators. This is hard evidence that we have obtained now, and we will be making a criminal complaint. Um, it's just he refused to even speak with us. Can you believe that? What kind of first sergeant is that? that would refuse to speak with us, you know? And this is right when McConville was saying people first, right? Putting that people first initiative. And, and First Sergeant Michael Ruggiero, I have him on record, refused to speak with us. What is that? That's just, um, it's just so terrible. And now to find out that he lied to the investigator, what is he covering up? What does he know? What was he involved with? What did he do to Richard? You know, what did he do to Richard? Um, he refuses to speak with you because he was guilty of something. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so then, and the other information coming in is about Richard's rifle. Um, Richard's rifle, brand new, does not have a scope. I'm starting to learn about rifles because of the investigation into Richard's rifle. And we said, because the rifle is unusable without a scope. And it did not have a scope when we received it. And there was other things that were missing when we received it. And new information is coming out about the rifle. And I want to say that Amanda Vickers, who clearly is up to no good, clearly is all about misinformation, was giving us misinformation about Richard's rifle, trying to privately give us misinformation about Richard's rifle. And, that is interfering in this investigation. It's clearly criminal activity. And so new information is coming out about the purchase of Richard's rifle, the LLC, and it is it connects a lot of dots. Let's just say that. So, everything is coming together because we have this, I guess the best way to say it right now is the force multiplier of institutional support. And I think it's one reason is because of all the evidence that we have collected over these years that they can't ignore it. But I also think that it is the politics right now. People see very, very clearly that the likes of Bob Moore are just for a story that they will use false narratives. They will create a false story. They will use unreliable sources, convicted criminals even convicted criminals that have family history of incest and child pornography, and they will try to run with this kind of source, but it's not working for Bob Moore. It's not working. He has been discredited now. And Leilani Hart is the mother of Dallas Hart, Richard's platoon leader. We know that. And we know that she, tries to interfere in this investigation as AKA Lydia Smith. So, and there's more, but I just really wanted to tell you about the information coming forth and just touch on this new case that was in the that I got sent, um, about these two El Paso Independent School District cops. I'm going to read through it again, but they were arrested. They were arrested for tampering with a case, with evidence. I believe so. And so tomorrow I'll talk about it a little bit more, but it really, piqued our interest. And because, you think you're a police officer, or, you're wearing the uniform, and you think you're immune to being held accountable, and yet they find themselves charged, right? They find themselves charged. Um, so that is huge, huge news, because I think the politics is, um, people are understanding that look, the media are not shooting straight. They are not shooting straight with us. And we're really on the watch for some very ethical reporting. And I think it's coming. And so, be on the watch. Thank you for that. God bless you all. Happy 4th of July. It is 4th of July now, 1776. And with this 4th of July, I think we need to realize that the rule of law works. And we're going to get accountability. We're going, we received the Declaration of Death. People didn't think that we'd ever get the Declaration of Death, but we did. And you do it peacefully through the law. And even though you might have to undergo these vile and vulgar, retaliatory, these criminal, vile and vulgar individuals, that absolutely have skin in the game when it comes to Richard's murder case. And of course, they're protecting Dallas Hart, the prime suspect in the murder of Richard, and they're protecting Leilani Hart, another prime suspect in the murder of Richard, and Tavita Nusa, the CID agent who's a prime suspect in the murder of Richard. They're protecting them, and because they have a lot to lose, I guess it'll all come out why, and then we'll say, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So, because the truth always makes sense, right? So thank you so much. God bless you, and happy 4th of July, and I will be back tomorrow, God willing.